Hey there, my name is Jessica. I'm here to talk a little bit about my bipolar. It's been a really scary journey, honestly, to go through manic depression and to be hospitalized 4 times in my life. Now, I was hospitalized once when I was 23, again when I was 24, again when I was 34, and again when I was 35. And it's been about 2 years since I've last been institutionalized. Now, being institutionalized is a very, very scary place. It's, you don't know when you're going to come out of there. And you're basically spending your time waiting and waiting. And there's this thing called going to state. And if you've been in a mental hospital, you might recognize that term. And that means that you're going long-term to a long-term facility when you're going to state. And it's a really, really scary place to have lost control of myself and to really get into this groove. I mean, when I've gone manic in the past, I create many piles. I thought my mom was kicking me out, so I was creating many bags, and I'd lay them all in the yard, and I would just go around in piles and place something here and something here, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. It just was happening, and it was my way to clean. And it didn't make any sense to the people around me. There's like, what is she doing? and for me, it made perfect sense. It's like I'm packing, and I grab a book and I rip it in half and rip the pages out and throw a page here and a page there, and it was like, okay, this is me packing. And it was not sane. There's nothing sane about going manic. You become delusional. You begin to think you're God, or you begin to think that you can talk through the radio, or you can talk through you can talk through songs, you can talk to artists. It's really, really crazy. And the scariest thing and the biggest fear for me is, at this point in my life, is losing control and going back and becoming institutionalized again. And I don't ever want to go back there. And I'm taking medication, and I'm staying on my medication. I pay attention to my sleep. I pay attention to my food. I pay attention to my exercise. These 3 things kind of make up my body, and I like to exercise, I like to meditate, I like to do things that help my mind focus and become center, and my body releases energy. So going into a mental hospital is not easy. It's scary. It's really scary. And while it may seem fun at the moment, once you're inside, you don't know when you're gonna leave. You have no power over saying, okay, I'm ready to go, see y'all, thanks for having me, I'll be back. It's not like that. It's like the doctors decide for you, and you only see the doctor like 5 minutes in the morning, and they're like, okay, she's okay, and how did you sleep? And it's like, I slept great, now send me home. And they're like, well, we're not quite ready to send you home, and instead we want to inject you with this medicine, and we want to put you on these 2 pills. And what they're really trying to do is bring your brain chemistry back to at least a normal level, where you're operating and thinking, and you're heavily, heavily drugged. And it's really crappy when you get out, because you're heavily drugged, and you're also I was dealing with depression. And it's like, it's overwhelming, because you feel like a sense of failure, a sense of loss in myself. It's like, oh, I have derailed again. I have gotten off track. And what was really I'm a musician. I play guitar, I sing, I love doing that. But this last time around that I ended up in the mental institute, I couldn't remember any of my songs when I got out, and that was a little disheartening. So I go to my guitar and I can't really play anything. And and partly, I've been running around for the last 10 years thinking I'm fine and that I don't have a mental illness, when in reality it's like, wait, I'm handling stress a lot different than most people. I am going a little manic when I get stressed, and this is not right. And it took a big realization on my part that, oh, this is not right. I'm not handling stress normally like everybody else. I'm going manic. I'm having excited, irrational thoughts and beating the crap out of my car and spray painting my car and yeah. So I've ruined 2 cars. So I've been hospitalized 4 times, like I've mentioned, and that's the biggest fear. Is going back to the mental hospital. At this point in my life, I don't have a fear of death. Like, I know it's gonna come. I don't need an appointment. It's just gonna happen. Death is gonna happen. But at this point in my life, I don't know if my medication is gonna hold up. And that's gonna be the end all be all. Like, it's just me, my medication is gonna help me. I don't know that. I really don't. And I have the biggest fear in myself that I will end up being institutionalized again. And I will end up having to go through the depression again. And I will end up having to rebuild myself. And the hardest point about rebuilding oneself is rebuilding your confidence that, yes, I can play a little bit. I can play guitar a little bit. And yes, I can do my gardening a little bit. And yes, I can do all these things that I consider healthy for me. But what it comes down to is my will to. And when you're in that depression, in that deep depression, it's not just a little depression like, oh, I'm sad today and I don't know why I'm sad, but I feel sad. No, it's like, oh, I'm sad and I really wish I could jump off a bridge right now. And my mind constantly went to that place of like, oh, what would that be like to just end it right now? What would that be like? And it's freaking awful. It's freaking awful to be in that place, to want to end it, and to have months go by where you feel like, oh, I want to end it today. I don't have anything to live for. And in reality, that's not the case. That is not the truth. We have everything to live for. We are our greatest success. It's not all of our accomplishments that we do, all the people that we help, or all the ways. It's the fact that we woke up this morning. That is our success, and that is the greatest success. And I think that these fears are very real for me, but I'm not gonna let them get in my way. I am not gonna let them get in my way. And fears are very normal for people. We have a fear of losing a relationship, or fear of being in a relationship, or fear of all these different kinds of fears that people have. Well, my biggest fear is being in the mental hospital again. And I don't want to be in the mental hospital again, ever. So, I'm on course. Granted, I pay attention to my sleep big time. If I start not sleeping, that's a big red flag for me. If I stop eating, that's another big red flag for me. And getting exercise is another good thing that I pay attention to. So those 3 big things. And I'm hoping I mean, I'm praying. I really am praying that I don't go back, and that I don't go manic. And I know that it's not in my control. I can pay attention all I want, but ultimately it's really about this medication that I'm on. It's been working for 2 years, and I'm hoping that it'll continue to work, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. And like I said, it's about paying attention. Food, sleep, exercise. What am I doing? Am I, and granted, I have no I've failed a lot in my life. Failed super hard. 4 times in the mental hospital over the course of 10 years is a lot, and it's scary. And I don't have anything to show for it. I mean, I have an album that I recorded, but other than that, I don't have any super skills that I've acquired. I love gardening. I like to play my guitar. I like to sing, but other than that, I mean, ultimately my success has nothing to do with the journey and the end goal. It's really, for me, about waking up every morning and being like, yes, I am alive. I've made it this far. I am going through this, and I'm not going to end it short. I am not going to end my life short. I am going to live fully. And that's ultimately what I've convinced myself is, like, I'm going to be happy no matter what. And yes, I know I've seen my days of failures. I know I've seen it. And that's not going to let me get me down. No, it's not. And I know I have a huge, huge, huge fear of failing again and ending up in the mental hospital. But I can't let that fear get in my way of my expression. And that's ultimately what I'm doing. I'm expressing myself. And it's a little scary to be on here and to kind of share this with you, but at the same time, it's a little relieving. It's like, oh, you know what? This is a fear for me, and I see you. And it's recognizing the fear, and it's, letting myself be okay that I have the fear, and I'm not letting it overpower me. I'm not letting it control me. I am just accepting it. And that's a huge part. I think all of life is about either acceptance or resistance. And if we spend our time resisting everything around us, it can be a pretty scary place to be in, because I'm like, no, this is not okay, and no, that's not okay, and this is not okay, and then everything, turns out to be not okay for you. And I think ultimately it's about acceptance. Like, oh, okay, this is happening in the world, and these things are happening in the world, and I have no control over most things that are happening in the world. But one thing I have control over is me. And ultimately, I know that I have a fear that I will lose control, but ultimately I also have an acceptance that I have control right now. And my control is managing it, my taking medication, sleeping right, eating right, exercising right. So that's my main message, is there is a lot of fears around being bipolar. There's a lot of fears about being institutionalized. There's a lot of fears around being institutionalized permanently. And that's really scary. And I just gotta let those roll off of me. Be the duck and let the water roll off of you. I love that analogy. And so if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe. If you don't, have a nice life. Good to talk. Thanks for listening. And yeah, my name's Jessica, and I'm signing off, and you all have a good day. Bye.